Ladies and gentlemen, it is rare item time. So you already know it, we're here today to discuss the 5 rarest Roblox limited items in existence. All of these items are borderline unobtainable, and most importantly, also very, very, very expensive. So some of you guys are probably asking, oh my god, Pedro, would it not be easy to just go to rollimos.com, check by lowest available copies and see what items are the rarest? No, my friend, no, it is not that easy, and let me tell you why. Take this item as an example, the New Year's Crown 2012. It has 9 available copies and 6 premium copies. Does this item only have 9 available copies? No. The reason why is because you can actually make your Roblox inventories private, and that ends up not counting towards the amount of available copies. For you to have a little bit of an idea, the New Year's Crown 2012 actually has 31 existing copies in total. So for you to know the total actual amount of existing copies of an item, you actually have to do some investigation. Also, I know some of you guys are probably going to say that the Ultra Commando, which only has 1 available copy in existence, is the rarest item, but I'm not going to count it for this video because I feel like it would be a very boring answer. But for a background history, the Ultra Commando was from Make-A-Wish, and the person who got this item just asked for it to be turned into a limited. The item was then later traded for the Dominus Infernus 1v1, which is 15 million value nowadays. It was a lot less when it was actually traded, but ever since then it was not traded anymore. Also, people estimate that in the black market, the Dominus Infernus could sell nowadays for over $250,000. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, without any extra yapping, let's get on to number 5 of this list, starting with the Lord of the Federation. This item is the first entry of the Federation series. It was released in 2012 with an original price of 250,000 Robux with 10 copies in stock. For you guys to have a little bit of a perspective, 250,000 Robux back in 2012, I would argue that is equal to like 10 million Robux nowadays. You know, far less people playing the game, far less Robux in circulation, so that just ended up making Robux a lot more worth it, For you to have a little bit of an idea, the Void Star, which is currently valued at 3.1 million Robux, which is around like $12,000, $14,000. Back in 2012, it was selling for around 20,000, 30,000 Robux. So yeah, Robux has become a lot less valuable nowadays. Now this item, out of the 10 original copies, it only has 5 remaining non-deleted copies. The current value of this item is 10 million, but it is very, very, very outdated. Nowadays, this is one of the most sought after items in the entirety of Roblox by, rich people. For you to have an idea, the circulation of this item is so extraordinarily tight that the last time this item was ever traded was 4 years ago. I spoke to a few people who are a lot more involved in the black market community in Roblox and asked them how much they think this item would sell for nowadays in the black market. They told me that this item could sell for over $600,000 very, very easily if one actually came into circulation. Then for the number 4, ladies and gentlemen, which is my personal favorite out of this entire list, the Bling Boys raiment. And there is actually a very funny thing about this item. As you can see, this is the Bling Boys raiment, which is 2.1 million Robux value in rollimos.com right now. And this is the Robling, which has a recent average price of 2.5 thousand Robux. So why is this so much more expensive than this if they are quite literally the same thing? Well, essentially, ladies and gentlemen, there were only 11 total copies originally made of this item. This item was released back in 2011, and it was made as a special item for a very specific Roblox commercial that used to air back then. This item was actually never put on sale for a specific amount of Robux. It was only awarded to a few developers and a few people who actually helped with the creation of that commercial. Now, even though this item is marked as a limited unique item which should have, serial numbers, it was manually handed out to people and does not have any serial numbers. So that is kind of weird. This is like a very glitched and very odd item. Now, out of the 11 total copies of this item, there are only 5 remaining copies. If we are counting like obtainable copies, very remotely obtainable copies, I would say that there are only 3 remaining copies of this item in existence. For you to have a little bit of an idea, the last time that this item actually sold on the Roblox catalog was over a decade ago, back in 2014, for 250,000 Robux. As you can see right here, the circulation for this item is also very tight, and the last time that this item was traded was 3 years ago. But the funny part about this is that the account that used to own this item is now terminated off the platform, so this copy does not exist anymore. Its current value is 2.1 million, but of course it is also very outdated. One of the owners of the Bling Boys raiment was actually offered an 8 million overpay offer for it, with the Duke of the Federation. And in case you guys do not know, the Duke of the Federation is also a very expensive item. The problem is that the cheapest owner of this item, who is Golly Greg, he would only take the Dominus Infernus 1v1, which is, once again, $250,000. So I'm gonna be completely honest, I do not know if we're ever going to see this item being traded again, but I would absolutely love to own this item. Now for number 3, we have the Wenwood Crown, ladies and gentlemen, which, like the Lord of the Federation, had 10 originally available copies. This item, just like the Bling Boys raiment, was earned for completely free. It was earned from a building contest in Roblox in its very early days. These contests overall, they were held by Roblox during their very early days, since like 2007 up to 2013, 2014, something around that. So yeah, this particular item, the Wenwood Crown, was awarded to the top 10 builds of the Worlds of Wood building contest, hosted back in 2009. And out of the 10 originally available copies, this item has 4 or 3 remaining copies. The reason I say 4 or 3 is because there is one specific owner of that item, 7387, who is speculated to have died of an overdose. I know that this is very grim, but it is just speculation, which is why I'm saying 4 or 3 copies. And the current value is 8 million Robux, which I believe it is not like outdated or anything. I believe that this like correctly represents the value of the item, not like 100%, but it is surely like more accurate than any of these other values of the entire list. In this item, I actually have a confirmed sale to show for it. The last time that this item sold through the Roblox catalog was back in 2024 for 20 million Robux, which translated to real cash is about $70,000 for that item. And then in number 2, we have the counterpart to the Lord of the Federation, which is the Lady of the Federation. It was released in 2015, so 3 years after the original Lord of the Federation, with the same price tag and the same amount of copies. Even though the Lord of the Federation was the first one in the Federation series, and the Lady of the Federation is supposed to be the female counterpart for the Lord of the Federation, the Lady of the Federation was not the first female Federation to be released to the Roblox catalog. The Lady of the Federation is technically a retexture of the Countess of the Federation, which had 50 total copies sold. So I mean, it is super rare still, but not as rare as the Lady of the Federation. Something very funny is that if you check the Rollimons page for this item, you're going to see that it shows as having 0 available copies, and this has tricked a lot of people into thinking that this item had no available copies in existence. Despite having 0 publicly available copies, this item actually has 3 remaining and very well obtainable copies. 2 of them are owned by game developers, so I'm not gonna lie, it is going to be very difficult for us to see this item be traded again. Not off the table, but just gonna be very hard. The current value is once again very outdated. This item has a value of 5.5 million Robux. This one, just like the Wenwood Crown, actually has a confirmed sale. This item, as you can see, in March of this year, sold for 50 million Robux. And if translated to real cash, that is around $175,000. So once again, a very big figure, not as much as I thought it would be going for, but still a very big figure. And now we have the number 1 rarest item in the entirety of Roblox, the eccentric shop teacher. Just like the Wenwood Crown, this is another contest item with 10 originally available copies. This one, however, was originally obtained from the Superhero School Building Contest, hosted back in 2012 for, once again, the top 10 builds with the highest rating. Now, not counting the copy that is owned by an ex-administrator from Roblox, Shedletsky, there are 2 remaining non-deleted copies. So quite literally only 2 people that you could possibly get this item from. The current value is 6.5 million, but I would argue that this is one of the most outdated values of this entire list. I spoke to one of the owners of the eccentric shop teacher, Linkmon99, and he told me that 2 years ago he declined an offer of Dominus Imperia's 1v1. So over 30 million Robux value overpay for the eccentric shop teacher, and he turned it down. Now, for you to have a little bit of a perspective, ladies and gentlemen, the Dominus Imperius has recently allegedly been sold for $550,000. $550,000 in real life, cash, dollars that you could buy a house or an apartment maybe, or this brown hat in Roblox. I'm probably gonna go with the latter, I'm gonna be honest with you. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Your support is extremely appreciated. Thank you so much for every single member of the YouTube channel. You guys have been helping me so extraordinarily much. Your support is extremely appreciated. Please subscribe, like the video, join my Discord server, do all of that juicy stuff that you always do after watching a video. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.